You know that moment when you walk into a crowded place and your brain instantly turns into a security guard? Not a calm security guard, a stressed one. The kind that's like, too many bodies, too many sounds, too many elbows. Who is that breathing near me? And everyone else is just living, laughing, ordering drinks, browsing a market like it's a scenic activity. Meanwhile, you're plotting an escape route, like you're in a spy movie. Nearest exit, quiet corner, least human contact. Your shoulders rise, your jaw tightens, and your phone magically becomes the most interesting object you've ever owned. Maybe it's you, maybe someone you know. But if crowded places drain you fast, it's not just being dramatic. There's usually a real psychological reason your body reacts like the crowd is a threat, even when nothing bad is happening. Because hating crowds isn't one trait. It's a few different mindsets hiding under the same feeling. And once you recognize which one is yours, you stop blaming yourself and start understanding what your brain is trying to protect. Let's start with type 1, the sensory overload brain. Picture a packed mall or night market, lights everywhere, music, people talking over people talking, food smell, perfume, heat, movement. Someone brushes your arm, someone bumps your bag, a kid yells, a speaker crackles, and your brain goes, okay, that's enough. For this type, crowds aren't scary. They're loud, internally. Their nervous system takes in more detail than it needs to. It's like having your awareness set to high definition, while everyone else is on standard mode. So other people filter the background. You don't. You notice everything. That laugh, that bright sign, that footstep behind you, that person standing too close. It's not paranoia, it's high intake. And high intake equals exhaustion. That's why you leave a crowded place and feel weirdly tired even if you did nothing, because you did something. You processed 1,000 signals your brain didn't know how to ignore. So ask yourself, do you hate crowds? Or do you hate the feeling of being mentally flooded? Different problem, same place. Type 2, the personal space defender. This person can handle noise and activity until people get too close. You're in a line. Someone stands behind you like they're trying to read your thoughts through the back of your skull. Your body tenses. You step forward. They step forward too. Now it's a dance, a bad one. For this type, crowds feel invasive, not shyness, boundaries. Personal space is an invisible comfort zone, and crowds violate it constantly. Accidental touch, hovering, brushing, leaning. Even if everyone's polite, your brain still reads it as, my space is not mine. This can link to a strong need for control or a history where boundaries weren't respected. Sometimes it's culture. Sometimes it's temperament. Sometimes it's just wiring. If you relate, notice this. Do you relax instantly the second you have distance again? Like your whole system goes, mine. Type 3, the social radar. On the surface, it looks like I hate people. Underneath, it's often, I hate being watched. In a crowd, you feel visible in a way that's hard to explain. Not because anyone is actually focusing on you. Most people are busy living their own lives. But your brain doesn't fully buy that. So you walk into a crowded cafe and suddenly you're aware of everything. How you're walking, where your hands are, whether your face looks weird, whether you look confident enough, whether you look awkward, whether you're taking up space. And now you're not just existing, you're performing existence. This type usually has high self-monitoring, great for reading the room, until there are too many rooms at once. That's why it's exhausting. And you might notice something. You don't hate crowded places when you're with someone who makes you feel safe, because safety turns off performance. So ask yourself, in crowds, do you feel tired or do you feel exposed? Type 4. The threat anticipator. This person isn't necessarily anxious all the time. They can be calm in quiet spaces. But crowds activate a what-if loop. What if I get stuck? What if I can't get out? What if something goes wrong and I'm trapped? What if I lose my friends? What if there's an emergency? What if I embarrass myself and can't escape? And the wild part is, nothing has to happen. The anticipation alone spikes stress. Crowds remove your sense of agency. In open space, leaving is easy. In a crowd, leaving becomes a project. This can come from a brain that likes certainty, or from a past moment. Getting lost as a kid, a panic spiral in public, a scary incident you don't even talk about. Your brain doesn't need a dramatic trauma story to learn one rule. Crowds equal less control. Less control equals danger. If you relate, notice whether your comfort depends on exits. Some people don't look for the best view. They look for the nearest door. That's not weird. That's your nervous system, keeping an emergency plan on standby. Type 5. The deep focus mind. This one gets missed. This person hates crowds because crowds scatter them. Their brain loves single-thread living, one task, one conversation, one scene. Crowds are multi-thread chaos, too many fragments, too many interruptions, too many competing signals. So you go to a festival and instead of fun, it feels like your attention is being ripped into pieces and handed out to strangers. You can't sink into anything. You can't fully enjoy anything. You're constantly switching focus. Where are we going? Where are they? What's that noise? What did you say? Sorry, what? This type doesn't dislike people. They dislike fragmentation. They're often the same people who love quiet cafes, long walks, deep conversations, and doing things slowly on purpose. So maybe you don't hate crowds in theory. You hate what crowds do to your mind. Now, important note. Hating crowded places can be completely normal and healthy. Your brain isn't malfunctioning. Crowds genuinely demand more from the body, more processing, more boundary management, more navigation, more social interpretation. But sometimes it tips into avoidance. When your world gets smaller, not because you prefer quiet, but because your body starts associating public spaces with dread. Here's a simple check. After you leave a crowd, do you feel relieved and back to yourself? Or do you feel like you survived something? Relief suggests preference. Survived suggests your nervous system is treating it like a threat. And if you love people but hate crowds, here's the good news. You're not incompatible with life. You just need the right conditions, the right timing, the right environment, the right exit plan, quiet corners, smaller groups, off-peak hours. A friend who understands leaving early isn't an insult, it's oxygen. So which type fits you? Sensory overload, personal space defender, social radar, threat anticipator, deep focus mind, or a mix? Because most humans are a mix. You can be fine one day and overwhelm the next, depending on sleep, stress, hormones, confidence, and whether you've had exactly one too many conversations this week. So tell me, when you say you hate crowded places, what do you actually hate? The noise, the closeness, the performance, the lack of control, or the mental fragmentation? If you want, drop your crowd breaking point, like I'm fine until, and finish that sentence. It's weirdly comforting to realize you're not alone in something you thought was just you. And if you like these calm, curiosity-driven deep dives into the psychology of everyday life, subscribe. Not for the crowd, just for you. Quietly from the safety of your own corner.